everybody, thanks for joining us. We're delighted to tell you a little bit about the Immersive Software Engineering course. We'll go through many topics and we'll try to answer as many questions as you have. We're sure that at this time you're trying to figure out what courses to take, what's a good fit for you. Maybe there are some parents and teachers joining in. So we want to try and see if we can capture some of what it's like to be an ISE student, to teach in ISE, and what the application process might be like. So let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Rosin Lyons. I am the Deputy Director of ISE. I'm also an Associate Professor of Entrepreneurship and Innovation in the Chemie Business School in UL. Also on the call joining us online is Ian. Ian might introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Ian O'Keefe. I'm one of the industry coordinators in the course. My background, I'm kind of about 20 years of professional software development experience. I also have 10 years academic research experience. I also ran a grad program in a US fintech, and that's kind of brought me to ISE, where now I'm looking after creating the best graduates we can in this fantastic course.
Amazing. Thanks, Ian. We're also here with Dr. Mark Burkley, so he's going to introduce himself too.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Burkley. I'm an associate professor in computer science. I just recently joined ISE. I'm only here since August last year. Before that, I spent over 30 years in industry, working for various companies, large and small, including Intel, Analog, Lightsource, and others, as a software engineer. And I ran my own software consulting company for a number of years as well. So I'm happy to be here, giving back what I've learned to the next generation.
Awesome. And just so that you get the full experience of kind of immersive software engineering, we're delighted that two of our second year students, Andrew and Michelle, are here. Do you want to say a quick hello?
Well, I'm Andrew. I'm in second year now, and from Offaly, if that helps. We have 3 students from Offaly in the course so far, so we do try to represent. Yeah.
Great. And Michelle?
Yeah, I'm Michelle. I'm an international student. We actually have 2 international students, I think, so lesser than Offaly's. But yeah, nice to meet everyone. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so we're going to get to hear some of the stories from Andrew and Michelle as they've gone on placement and some of the projects that they've worked on through the course. So things that we're going to cover today, as I said, why should you choose ISE, what the format of the typical semester looks like, the types of subjects that we cover, and then we're going to really talk about the residencies because they're such a fundamental and exciting part of our program. We're also going to talk about how you apply and some of the logistics surrounding that. So some of you have already sent in questions. We definitely will cover those, but if some questions arise as we talk, make sure that you kind of ping those in as well, and we'll try and answer anything that you have. Also, if there are questions that we don't cover or there are things that you think of after this event, certainly get in touch with us after this webinar. There's other events to come that'll teach you some more stuff, and we're always kind of ready to answer questions. So, why should you choose ISE? Well, there's a number of different reasons why you could or you should, but ultimately, we love learning by doing. Our whole kind of methods here and our whole belief system is that software engineers of the future need to learn in kind of as many ways as possible, in the classroom, in the workplace, and working with multiple stakeholders all the time. So we have a studio-based learning method. We're actually currently in the Immersive ISE space. It's a lovely building that's been customized specifically for these students. Students take large modules called blocks, and they do full day courses in some of our topics. So it's really different to the way that typical modules and semesters run in other university programs. We work on projects, we work on really applied things, and we get students to really dig deep and study topics at their core and how they will relate to industry. We also have kind of a novel way of approaching assessment. So we look at, again, projects, continuous assessment, quizzes, no exams, no formal exams at the end of the year. We want to constantly have that movement between learning, doing, and then assessing. one of the big benefits behind ISE is, of course, the fact that after just 4 years, you come out with your undergrad master's qualification. It's such an amazing opportunity to be able to give this to students, and it's something that definitely might have attracted some of our current students to date. And then, as we said, we're so fundamentally kind of built into the scheme of working with industry. They are a really, really important factor in here, and we'll talk more about our residency partners. But the fact that our students can go on almost 50% of their time in paid work experience is a huge, huge, huge part of our course. But that's kind of a sales pitch. I guess the question is, like, for Andrew and Michelle, why did you choose it? Why did you choose this course?
Honestly, I think...
Putting you on the spot, sorry.
Yeah.
But
it is obviously the packs you just mentioned, 2 years of work experience plus a master's degree in 4 years. But I think the thing that attracted me most to it was the fact that we were doing projects and we were like learning by doing. So and they've stayed true to it. We have been doing projects for most of the time where we've actually applied a lot of the stuff we've learned and built things we can all be proud of. And I think it also has really helped us when we went on to go into our residencies and work, where a lot of things we thought, oh, we might not need this, we actually ended up using.
Yeah.
So
I found that because it was so different, it seemed very attractive to me, as in, so my older brother pitched me the idea of the course, considering he had done computer science in, say, UCD, say 2011, 2012. And for him, the course was very like rudimentary, and he was, you'd be writing code on pen and paper, and he just kind of said it's caveman stuff. And to be fair, I think it's difficult for other courses to adapt and to change as quickly as this course obviously can. And I think that is what makes it so attractive, is that it's so flexible. And if something doesn't work, they can simply just change it, and obviously you have half of your time not in college getting paid to be in industry, which is unbelievable. To like, compared to say any other computer science student, if you're walking out of here, you've so much more experience and technical skill as well. I think it's very hard to compete against that when there's not really a course like this in Ireland.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely a novel type of teaching. It's a novel type of learning. It's very, as we say, immersive, intensive. It's for ambitious students. And they really get a lot of support here. They get brilliant teachers from both academia and industry. So there's a lot of reasons to consider ISE as a strong option. I think here are a picture of some of our current first years at the early stages of their immersion with us, and they're doing a great job of being ambassadors for ISE so far. In fact, today they had a sustainability workshop on campus here, so we do have lots of interesting topics which we'll explore in more detail. As Andrew mentioned, we've kind of flipped the traditional way of looking at semesters and even days and modules. Mark, you might kind of jump into what that looks like for students.
Yeah, so we organise our year into blocks. We don't quite follow the semesters of the college. We do 4 blocks a year as opposed to 2 semesters. And each block has a theme running through it. So, first block of year 1 is problem solving with computers. So that's got 2 major subjects. Each block has 2 majors and 2 minors. The majors would be, for example, could be computer organization and Java programming might be the 2 majors in block 1. And then each block we build up. In the first year, we're doing the fundamentals of computer software development, the building blocks, operating systems, computer systems, and so on. Human-computer interfaces comes then in second year, cybersecurity as well, then building up to scaling, reliability, AI, computational thinking in third year. Interleaved with these then we have the residencies. The first residency is at the end of first year. The residencies are modelled like medical residencies. They're shorter in duration than a typical co-op with a degree program in UL, but instead of doing one single co-op, you do 4 or 5 different residencies, so you get a lot more variety of and exposure to different industries and companies. At the end of third year, you do have the option of completing at that point with a BSc, but most students opt to complete and continue on into fourth year when it becomes the master's part of the course. So it starts with research methods and in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. And then at the end of fourth year, you qualify with your MSc, your combined BSc and MSc. And there's a final residency then, which is part of the research project. And that completes then the MSc course.
Mm-hmm. So kind of two key things, thanks Mark, two key things here to note, okay? When you see the red boxes, those are paid placements. So these are with top level companies in industry where you were paid to work. So there's a lot of work placement here, as our students well know. Another thing I think it's important to mention is the fact that timeline is busy. The students are busy here, that you are working through the summer, and that is something that definitely needs to be highlighted. However, most students need to work during the summer. These students get to work in software companies during that time. So
and to be fair, they do, like the companies that we do work at, they offer holidays because you're a regular employee. You know? And so like all of us were able to take our holidays and go on trips or whatever, like being paid as well, which is amazing. But like obviously it is quite full on, and it is taken out of your hands of how free you are during those certain holiday periods, but it's still much more beneficial to you, I'd say, than working part-time somewhere, but like to getting like graded and everything during this it's unreal.
Yeah. So Mark already kind of discussed some of the majors that students will be taking. So to reiterate, in each block you take 2 majors and up to 2 minors. I'm going to talk to you about the minors. The majors some of them are listed here. Which ones are you involved in?
Yeah, so my background is embedded systems. So I'm teaching the computer organization and architecture, different types of CPUs, different types of peripherals. I'm currently teaching operating systems. I've also taught embedded systems and cybersecurity as well. So those are kind of the themes I'm teaching. In addition to that, then there are subjects that are pure software, like data structures and algorithms, where students are actually learning about the fundamentals of software development. There's a HCI module. There's a focus on the human-computer interface, how to do user interface design, web development, and artificial intelligence as well is another major subject. And these are, but we start at the beginning, the building blocks, and we build our way up to the more complex blocks as we go. And the idea is it's all about how do you apply software development in industry, how do you apply it to different industrial segments. Autonomous driving would require aspects of embedded and artificial intelligence. Cloud computing would require web development and operating systems. So the building blocks feed into the kind of the vertical segments that people will end up working in, and we expose as many different segments as we can, so students have a variety of different choices, and they can choose to specialize in whatever area they like. Yeah.
Fantastic, super, thanks Mark. Okay, so again, in each block you'll take up to 2 minors, and the minors topics are focused on some of the kind of auxiliary subjects that we think are really, really, really essential for our students and for our graduates. So these are kind of enterprise, innovation, startup subjects. They might be project management, even things as fundamental as like economics and law. What are the aspects that a future software engineer needs to know in these areas? The minor topics are a very novel aspect of the ISE course and have been really successful. We've had numerous founder successes that have come out from this stream. Lots of competitions, hackathons. Michelle, we were just talking about one.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell about that one?
We had gone for the OpenAI competition hackathon at Trinity, and our team ended up winning a runner-up place. We had a little project on what we called MedConnect. It was designed it was a little chatbot that sat beside your bed and just talked to you, and it was really fun. I think we all traveled together to Dublin, and we spent a day there just creating ideas, creating the slides, and it was a good experience. And we've actually had quite a few hackathons, which have been really fun.
Super.
So it's a lot of
Yes.
exposure to a lot of things and a lot of different people, and it's really nice.
Brilliant. Yeah, the enterprise network in ISE is really, really strong. So we have affiliate members like Dogpatch Labs and places that really help us to catalyze what we're already doing in the classroom. And so some of these subjects like enterprise funding help potential founders. So if you're someone that wants to have a startup company and is torn between what to do, we can help you, do both. You can be an ISE student and also continue thinking about your startup company, and we'll try and support that and slot that in where possible. We also have things like medtech, agile, all of these areas that will help. These are minor topics, but they've really, really, really gained some traction, and students kind of like having the mix of both in their curriculum. Okay, so then next up we're going to talk about the residencies. Ian, do you want to come in and tell us a little bit about this, please?
Sure, yeah. So, as it says there, what about the residencies? All 5 residencies are paid. As our residencies are hosted by our industry partners, you will join them as an employee of their company. So you get the same benefits as any other employee. So yeah, you're being paid. As was mentioned earlier, you also get the same holidays they would get as well while you're there with them. The students rotate across the different companies for residencies 1 through 4. And this means that you get the broadest experience with different companies, domains, technologies, and different corporate cultures as well before you graduate. So this gives you a fantastic insight into what type of company and role would most appeal to you once you graduate, which I think is a great advantage. Because most people, when they graduate, they're not really sure. They may have worked at one company and that's it. You might find your favorite future role could be something you've never even considered before joining the ISE program. We try to place 2 students per company for residencies 1 through to 3, as we realize that going out into the professional workplace for the first time may be a little daunting. So we want to ensure you have a fellow ISE student on site with you for peer support. The matching, how you decide where you're going to go, that's competitive. All the placements are shared with all the students via our online ISE jobs board. And then all the students get to rank their favorites where they would like to go. And then the companies reach out to these top listed students via their internal recruitment processes and make offers to those that best match their requirements. So that's how they're all matched up together.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ian. And let's look at some of these residency companies. So we are very, very lucky that we have had such amazing companies work with us on this program, and our students have had incredible experiences on placement with those. We've got Stripe, Analog Devices, AWS. They're all available you can have a look on our website to see the kind of full list. So I might get Michelle, will you tell us a little bit about the residencies you've been on so far?
Yes, so I've been working at Carillon during my first residency and then at Transact for the second one. Carillon was a SaaS medical systems company, so I worked more with APIs and stuff, and with Transact it was more university payments. So I got a good idea of 2 completely different fields, and I was treated like a software engineer intern. I learned a lot of things you normally wouldn't think about, because there are roles that you've probably never heard of until you actually sit down and go into industry. So it's just very eye-opening when you actually get to work and then come back to classes, and now you just have all that with you too.
Brilliant. What about you, Andrew?
So I was in first derivatives for both of my residencies actually. So it was a 6-month kind of stint. And it was good in that sense that, say, some people found that they were just getting ready and they were comfortable in one placement and then they were thrown into another. So to be given the opportunity to stay in one company for a long time was really handy. Their office was in Dublin, and you were able to go up there, but they offered completely remote work if you wanted to. So it was quite flexible like that. And I focused mostly on it was testing and maintenance was my main side of it, which obviously there's a lot, some people had were making projects and a bit more exciting kind of opportunities, but it was still a great experience, a great opportunity to learn, because there are so many different sides to industry and the roles people have, and to have that good long part of it was really helpful. yeah,
Okay.
I appreciated that. Like.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Mark, coming from the software industry itself, like, what do you make of this? It's such an advantage for students to have so many different, experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, software engineering, coding, all those activities. You have to learn by doing. You have to, it's a craft, and you have to practice your craft. You can't read it from a book. You can't just study and rote learn and assume that'll be enough. You actually have to practice and experience it, and try it out. And coming from industry, I know what we were looking for in software graduates. So it's great to see that this course is studio-based learning. It's hands-on. It's practical, and we're not just producing graduates that have lots of theoretical knowledge but no application. So it's great coming from industry to see that the graduates actually have the real world application skills.
Yeah, and actually, so it's a good point that we are, because we're so aligned with the companies, we're responsive. So if they, recognize a need or, something that we need to work on with our student base, we can kind of in real time work that into our teaching, work that into our approach. And it's really important as technology grows and grows that we have those kind of channels and communications and feedback loops, essentially. Okay, so that's a bit about the course, and you'll hear more when we answer some of your questions. I guess when it comes to the entry requirements, these are available on the website. You must have explored these before. The submission process is a mix of both the CAO entry and an entrance submission that you have to submit. The entrance submission is worth 200 points. So that sits on top of, a potential 625 in your leaving certificate. So out of a potential 825 in total from both the entrance submission and your leaving cert, the averages CA points were 676 in 2024 for ISE. So let's dig into the entrance submission, so to speak. There are two routes for this 200 point entrance submission. There's route A, which is a technology project. Tell us about the most creative, interesting, or enjoyable way in which you have used industry. And Ian is going to share with us a little bit about the technology project in a second. And then route B is a personal profile where you respond to a number of key questions and submit supplementary information to help tell us about yourself in terms of your fit for the course. And we really hope that you focus on kind of your skills and interests related to STEM. So in relation to science, technology, engineering, maths, and innovation, when you consider submitting as part of the entrance submission process. So again, I'm going to call on Ian to tell us a little bit more about the technology project, please.
Thanks very much, Roshi. So we're going to look at option A first, which is, as mentioned, the technology project. This is 200 points, as is the other route. We're looking for a maximum of 800 words for this submission. As it says there, using technology doesn't have to mean writing a career program. It could be any situation where you use technology to do something interesting. We want to know what you did, but we're also very interested in how you did it. We'll be looking for an overview of your work. Think about things like, what did you do? Please include screenshots, photos, and links to repositories, website URLs, or any other illustrations of the project if relevant. If you develop code in your project, please add coding fragments to your overview with a short explanation of what these fragments do, and you can link the full implementation if you wish on, say, a shared drive or a repository as well. Also remember to focus on the project impact of your submission. Some questions to perhaps ask yourself and answer in your submission would be, why did you do it? Were you solving a problem? Or did you just want to learn something new for fun? What was the impact of your project? Did anyone use it? How did it help them? What aspect of your project are you most proud of? And what would you do differently next time? You can use Leaving Cert, third level, or other curricular projects in your entrance submission if you wish. However, we strongly recommend that you enhance or progress your project in some way and explain this in the narrative of your submission. Remember, the technology project is a chance for you to show us your creativity and skill. So if you use a Lebensearch project, for example, then it is likely that a lot of other applicants may be using the same example, and you want yours to stand out, which is why we want to see extra work being done on top of that as well. We also have full details, as it says here, and an explanatory video up on our ISE website. And actually, I put the link to the website into the live event chat there as well. So you can click on that there to have a look. And it's on the entrance submissions tab. So thanks for watching.
Super. Thanks, Ian. Okay. It's like my news correspondent overseas. Thanks, Ian. Okay, so option B then is the personal profile. And as we mentioned, this is where you submit to 3 of 4 of the questions that we posted on our ISE website. So do you have a talent or interest that is highly important to you? Remember that you are trying to kind of create this within the lens of talking to us about your accomplishments and your interests in STEM and innovation. So tell us about this aspect of your identity and your key accomplishments in this area. You'll answer that question, and again, providing the supplementary documentation that we've requested, that kind of evidence that really help for us to see those accomplishments in these key areas. Or you might answer tell us the time where you solved a problem. How did you identify and test the solution, and what did you learn from the experience? Again, telling us about it, but also showing us again through your supplementary information. Or the third option for the personal profile is to tell us about your background in computer science or software development. What have you done in this area? Projects that you've worked on, competitions, etc. Maybe you've developed something on your own. We'd love to hear about it. The fourth question is, to ask about your kind of innovation, creative thinking. So we ask you to pitch to us in some detail a project that you would like to work on as an ISE student, and to be quite innovative and to think through this and maybe storyboard it. Again, try to provide information and kind of a picture of what this would be. It's that supplementary information that really help us to kind of see what you are visualizing for that. So we will ask you to submit 3 of 4 of those, max 400 words per person.
So moving on to the CAO timeline, there are 3 CAO submission windows. This is for the entire Lebensearch, for all subjects, all universities each year. So if your CAO application is submitted by the 1st of February, applicants that list LM173, that's our course, in their 10 options, they will be emailed the submission link to submit their application early to mid-March, with details on the entrance submission process in that email. If you, CAO, they also ask you to put in your mobile phone number, and you'll also get an SMS reminder from Academic Registry here in UL. If your CAO application is submitted after the 1st of February and up to the 1st of May, then you move into the second window, which is late applications, and applicants will be emailed by mid-May with the same details as I mentioned earlier. If your CAO change of mind option is exercised, this is up to the 1st of July, in which the applicant selects LM173. Students will receive an email from UL Admissions with a link to a submission site. The first time they select LM173, that's Immersive Software Engineering, in the CAO. And each applicant will only be sent this link once. So basically, once you get the link, you should use it. So once you commit to a submission window, that being normal, late, or change of mind, and receive a link, you must submit using that link during that submission window. If you don't get submission in by the deadline, this is like for any Lebensearch exam as well, you will forfeit your chance to apply for the ISE program. So to make sure that once you get that link, you use it before the deadline. International students who apply directly to UL for the course will likewise receive an email with a link granting them access to the portal. But note the dates that may differ from those for the Lebensearch for international applicants. The best thing to do there is to contact UL Admissions for further information on international students. And also all these details are available up on our website as well. So thanks very much.
Super, thanks Ian. Okay, and some other things to note. We're really lucky that we have multiple scholarships available for the ISE students. One for the best submission in the entrance submission process, and 3 €10,000 scholarships from Intercam Transact Campus and MongoDB. So again, we realize that our students are very lucky in this respect, and that there are loads of opportunities that they can avail of and try to attain. So kind of next steps for you is to really, as we've said, look at the ISE website, follow us on socials. And if you are really trying to get more insight on the specifics of the entrance submission, there will be a workshop on March 1st from 11 to 1 p.m. So we'd be happy to talk to you in more depth at that time about that there. Now we're on to questions. There's a couple that have already been sent in by our lovely listeners, and we're going to maybe kind of share these out, so not really sure what we'll do, but one question that came in were, how many hours a week are students learning or doing coursework when they're not on work experience? So the way that the studio-based environment is kind of set up, you're doing, as we said, topics each day, full day topics. Generally speaking, the schedule is kind of 9 to 4, 9 to 5, but there is hours of self-directed learning. There's lunch hours in that. The map of the day looks a little bit like some delivery in the morning. Then you might be presented with a case study or an applied problem or something to work on. You might have a studio hour with a teaching assistant. You might have an hour on your own to do some independent work. You might have a lunch break. And then you're back in the room with the lecturer in question or the industry guest or whoever it is that you're working with on these challenges. That's kind of the daily workload. It's kind of like that each day. Wednesday is a little bit shorter because we have our minors topics.
Yeah, and it really isn't that. It sounds like a lot of hours of a lot of stuff, but it's not that overwhelming, really. It's very well structured in a sense where you'll have a lecture in the morning and then maybe some sort of TA hour or little project or whatever activity, and then you'll have your lunch and another lecture in the afternoon, and it's all contained in the one topic, so it'd be the same. Say it's AI, so you have AI in the morning, you'll have your whatever in between, and then AI in the afternoon. So it's really like one day you have to think about just the one thing, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Great. Another question that came in is, are there practical elements to the way you teach at ISE? And we were talking about this earlier. It's kind of all practical, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, we don't have any final end of the year exam, so there's no time where everyone's just in the books. It's a lot more assessments over the week, but they're a lot shorter, which I personally really like. You don't study a huge amount of information where you're trying to cram everything in, and it's a lot of more projects where you're working with teams or you're working by yourself, and it's very similar to industry. So I think everything over here is very practical.
Yeah.
What kind of bits do they?
Yeah, so I mean, from my point of view, when I'm teaching like embedded systems, it's very, very practical. People are building some miniature little real-time control systems. Some people have built heating control systems. Somebody built a traffic light intersection system with LEDs and buttons and everything else. So very elaborate. So very, very real-world examples, very applicable. In the operating systems module, they're developing a project to create a device driver to understand how that whole interaction works. In cybersecurity, we developed secure cloud applications and discussed ways they could be broken. I got the students to crack my password as an example of how it could be done and how to choose a bad password. So there's very hands-on practical sides to it. It's not just pure theory.
Yeah, and on the minor side as well, again, I think it's quite practical because you are thinking about, what your startup might look like and how to base that. And remember the Give Backathon or the charity hackathon? So this was for an innovation communications minor where we got students to contact charities and social enterprises that may have technical needs, and we got them to come in and, work with them, design some solutions, pitch it back to them, and enhancing their communications, but in a really useful, practical setting as well. Okay, is all the work done on computers, or is there any written elements or hands-on elements? So yeah, there's a mix.
So yeah, I suppose as I said, there are a lot of hands-on elements. I'm sure you guys will concur. I mean, written, you're writing reports, you've got your final year project report. It's still on the computer, but it is a written. We work with whiteboards, and I'm sure you guys have worked with that as well. Is there anything else?
I'd say it depends obviously on the topic that you're studying. Obviously, if you're focusing on a language or a certain type of thing that requires a lot of programming, obviously it's very kind of software and computer based. But say when you're doing things more practical, like say maths, a lot of the time you'll need to be like say working on whiteboards or trying to figure things out on paper, just because it's a lot easier than trying to figure it out on a computer, because so it really depends on which different module you're focusing on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but most students would have their laptops in every day, and it's not always all computers, but definitely at different points of the day you mix between them. So yeah. Okay, great. What sort of project work is done in the course? I think we've kind of covered that already there, but if there's any other major examples coming through.
Yeah, we've given a few examples.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's particular to the major. So we would generally kind of look for a project at the end of the block that demonstrates the students have learned the content of the major.
Yeah, and there's usually like a code review or something afterwards to kind of really get them to articulate that. Great. Okay, so some more questions that came in. What A-level results would I need to meet the requirements for the course? So that would be dependent on the Leaving Cert points and the CO points that are required, and you would just have to get the comparison. I think the table, maybe Ian can link it in the chat. So we can't determine that until the Leaving Cert points come out. As the course runs over the summer, what holidays would I get during the year, and are these set times or dependent on the placement company? So as we said, you are on placement during the summer. There are gaps in between the different semesters, so you usually get about 2 weeks of break at Christmas, and then before residency kicks in, and after there's about 2 weeks and 2 weeks. It does depend day to day on the residency company, but also on the academic calendar, which we are part of the university structure, so our semesters are based on the university setting as well. But there are, as we said, holidays between. We can't give you the formal dates right now, but you those are the kind of the gaps that we would have. And then there's a question on, can you give an indication of the range of payment students receive during placement? Maybe Ian, if you're there, would you weigh in on that as residency coordinator?
Sure, yeah. It does vary year on year as well, of course. But I suppose we're seeing something in the range of 25,000 per annum up to about 28, 30. But it depends. Some companies are offering more, and also some companies may offer you things like accommodation might be provided, or they may give a stipend to cover the cost of accommodation as well, things like that. Plus, some companies have free pizza. One company up in Dublin has a free bar in the evenings. I mean, so there are actually a lot of other benefits as well.
Cool, thank you. And do I get feedback on the project in May before I sit the Leaving Cert? Ian, can you take that one again?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you will do. If you apply to the first window, we will get the number of points you got in your submission before you sit the Leaving Cert. We cannot actually communicate with you during the Leaving Cert. Neither can academic registry. It's the law. No universities are allowed to communicate with students while they're doing their Leaving Certs. And after that, then it would open up again for people who apply for the second and the third windows. Then they'd be able to get the points.
Okay, super. Thank you. If there are more questions, please put them into the chat, and we'll try our best to answer them. Otherwise, we'll just be here trying to kind of small talk awkwardly.
Yes, we have, I think, there's 8 or so questions in
super.
Q&A. Well, actually, a few of them are posts I put in. I put in our course code, a link to our website, and I put in the link there to the A-level requirements for UL as well. And the questions we have, I think we may have covered these. The first one I can see is from Alexander saying, what are the requirements for international students? I think, have we covered that now? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
because you go through the international office anyway, and it's not a case of points, because there aren't points if you're not going to the CAO system. So I believe it's more in terms of, we look at your entrance submission, and there'll be interviews as well, I believe, are part of the process.
Something that I thought of there is, if you are thinking of this option, you won't be just an ISE student, you will be a UL student too. And that's a hugely important thing, because UL is such a wonderful, wonderful university. The campus is beautiful. The activities here are brilliant.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so what is it like being a UL student? Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's great. I mean, we have our own campus, so it's not like integrated with the city. We have our own space. And I know there's a thing that, maybe you don't have time. I am part of a good amount of clubs and societies. You do have time at the end of the day. Most of the activities happen after ISE hours anyways. So it's a great experience. I really like UL.
What kind of clubs and societies are you in?
I'm, I think right now I'm currently really focused on the archery club. I'm part of their committee.
Wow.
So that's been a great experience. We go on a lot of competitions, and that's also during the weekends. So when I was on placement, I did not have any like clashes because I'll be working, and then over the weekends I would go to different competitions. But part of the photography society too. That's really nice. I think there's a few ISE students in there.
Yeah. Cool.
And it's just great. And I know there's one, the Aerostock Society, which is really good. I have a few friends in there, but a lot of opportunities, a lot of options. And it's a good experience.
I think Limerick as a city, I suppose, is great, because if we compare to other cities, it is much cheaper. I'd say, especially thinking for accommodation, and in general, just in shops and obviously going out and all that kind of crack. It's a lot more approachable than I'd say some other cities would be, like Dublin. And what's great, I suppose, is that UL, its campus is separated from the city itself, so it does feel like its own little town. Do you know what I mean? When you're walking around, you're only seeing students, more or less, and that's it's so much fun. You know what I mean? Because like, compared to other campuses, when you leave a lecture or you leave the building, you're just kind of in a city, and but it's very much contained in itself, which makes it's just a great place to go study. And in fairness, the ISE building itself is in a great location as well. So it's very handy if you're living on campus or close to campus to get to it. So yeah, it's a good spot.
Super, yeah. And actually, some of our ISE students are big in the Rocketry Society as well, isn't there? That's like a big support here in ISE for rocketry. So, but yeah, there's lots of other societies in UL, and do think about that we want students here to feel like they're part of a wider community. And that's why we encourage students to go to societies, to join competitions, and we try and kind of involve them in that way too. So we're pretty much it here at the end. For any students that are kind of in the middle of studying and doing exams and stuff, and thinking about what's to come, we really wish that you are doing okay, and we wish you all of the best in the weeks to come. It is not an easy time by any means, but we will look forward to hopefully having you apply. What we would say about ISE to close is there's no question but that the staff and the students really care about ISE. We want to see our students succeed. We care about the welfare of them, and we think it's a wonderful course. It's ambitious. It's for students that love technology. It's for students that want to solve problems. And it's for students that want to explore something in a different way. And so if you think you are one of those students, and if you think that you would like to be here, not here in this interview setting, that's really awkward, but if you would like to be here on campus, then please do reach out, consider applying, and we wish you every luck.